Okay, so I just recently discovered this whole thing right here, and I thought this was very, very interesting, and I wanted to share this with you guys. There's this thing called the drama triangle. It's called the Karpman drama triangle. And basically, it says here the drama triangle is a social model of human interaction. The triangle maps out a type of destructive interaction that occurs between people in conflict. The drama triangle model is a tool used in psychotherapy, specifically in transactional analysis. And this is basically the thinking of your modern day women right here. And here's the thing, you got three different sides to this thing. This is basically your modern day women and their thinking. This is kind of basically their thought pattern. If you know, the feminists and modern day women right here. And if you notice, the triangle is inverted. That is the female symbol for, in the, I guess you want to say in the occult, it's the female symbol is the inverted triangle. If we go here, we look here and it says here the triangle, let's see here, where is it? Here it is. Properties of inverted triangle: female, lunar, Yanni, Shakti, I think, passive, cave, down, and mother. I don't know what this cave and down is supposed to mean, but mother. That's I'll get into. I don't even get into that, but properties of an inverted triangle. You have the female, you have the lunar, women in their period, the lunar cycle, passive. So the inverted triangle is the symbol for the woman. You can look at it like being the vagina if you want to. It's just what it is. But it's called the Karpman drama triangle. You have persecutor, rescuer, and victim. And each one of these things can bounce back and forth, and the person that is using this mentality of thinking can play on both sides. You have the rescuer, they can play the rescuer, then they can play the victim and bounce back and forth. Or they can play the victim and the persecutor and bounce back and forth. Or they can play the persecutor and the rescuer and bounce between the two. Or they could use all three of these. Now, this is your modern day woman's mentality right here. This is the tool that they use, is this drama triangle. So let me read you this right here, the drama triangle. The purpose: to promote the life script. Roles of the persecutor, rescuer, and the victim are often portrayed in psychological games. Well, we know what that is all about, don't we? Serves as a training ground for powerlessness. Prevents psychological equality in relationships. Will go on as long as someone is willing to be victimized. Think, if you will, about a triangle. On each end are the roles that we play in life. One is the persecutor, another is the victim, and the last one is the rescuer. If anyone in this triangle changes roles, the other two roles will change as well. So you have the persecutor. It's all your fault. Set strict limits unnecessarily. Now just think about your modern day women as I read through this, and you'll kind of get where I'm going. Blames, criticizes, keeps victims oppressed, is mobilized by anger, rigid authoritative stance, and critical parent. So that would mean the parent wants to have all the say-so in the relationship. This would basically be your women wanting to take the kids. I'm the mom of the kid, and it doesn't, all that parental custody. So to get off this triangle, move to the clear structure, the victim. Poor me. This is the second part of this. So you have the persecutor. Now we're going into the victim. Feels victimized, oppressed. Yeah, all right. Helpless, hopeless, powerless, and ashamed. Looks for the rescuer that will perpetuate their negative feelings. If stays in the victim position, will block self from making decisions, solving problems, pleasure, and self-understanding. These two are very interesting. These three, I should say, are very interesting because we know that women our modern day women today, and the feminists especially, which I'll get into a second part towards the end of the video about what I think it's really about. Obviously, we know women don't solve problems. The victim mentality in this triangle, this victim mentality in the description, which is what this is talking about here. They don't want to solve problems. We already know that. It says here, will block self from making decisions, solving problems, pleasure, and self-understanding. Now, pleasure was interesting because the very first thing that came to my mind when I thought of this is withholding sex. Women withhold sex and self-understanding, so they can't get the point, basically, under this. And dejected stance. To get off of this triangle, move to problem solving. So now we have the rescuer. So we've gotten persecutor in this triangle. We've gotten this is the drama triangle. So we've gotten persecutor, we've got victim, and now we're on the rescuer. Let me help you. Rescues when really doesn't want to. Feels guilty if doesn't rescue. Keeps victim dependent. Gives permission to fail. Expects to fail in rescue attempts. Marshmallow parent. Now, I think what this is basically trying to say is that basically they don't parent their kids. They're soft. Now, this is where this kind of sums this up by this person who wrote this or whatever. During the time my daughter and I were staying with my girlfriend and her daughter, I was missing a very expensive pair of earrings, over $200 worth, and announced to everyone what they looked like and that they had seen if they had seen them. Nope, no one had seen them. Finally, one day, suspicious of my girlfriend's daughter, I went into her room and looked into her jewelry box, and there were my earrings. I snatched them back when everyone was home later that night, and I told everyone where they had found my earrings. I was clearly the victim, right? The persecutor was clearly my girlfriend's daughter, and either my girlfriend or my daughter, who was very young, could have been the rescuer. Well, my girlfriend clearly would not come out of denial that her daughter had taken them, and that her daughter denied taking them and stealing. What is that word? And stating that she had no idea that they wound up in her jewelry box. So that's fucking bullshit. So my girlfriend began to feel angry at me for blaming my daughter, making me the persecutor and her daughter the victim, and my girlfriend clearly the rescuer. And then it says here, do you see how my girlfriend changed everyone's roles? This is the drama triangle. Basically the persecutor, women saying, oh, I didn't take that. And then you accuse them of it, and then they go into the victim mentality, saying, oh, well, you're accusing me of something I didn't do, you know? And then you have the rescuer, which is somebody that breaks, I think, basically is like the icebreaker. They can put these two mentalities on the blame of the rescuer, and so the persecutors, the persecutor and the thing that they did can get thrown over to the putting blame on someone else, basically. This I just wanted to read this because this really sums up your modern day woman's mentality. They play the persecutor on one side, and then they play the victim, and then there's a rescuer. And the rescuer, characterized here, is the person that basically they suck up and they kiss butt knowing that they did something wrong, but they basically want to take the judgment off of it by pushing it on someone else or whatever, or doing something they don't like. That's why it says in these characteristics here, rescues when really doesn't want to, feels guilty if doesn't rescue, keeps victims dependent, gives permission to fail, expects to fail in rescue attempts, and then marshmallow parent, which means basically they don't parent, they're soft. And this is the female symbol, the inverted triangle, as I've shown you in that link. So this right here is what we're dealing with. This is the whole feminist, this is the feminist brainwashing that has gone on. They have implemented these various different positions and stances along the Karpman drama triangle. I'm very glad I found this. This is very interesting. But we see this in our society all the time. What do we see in society and what do they push in the media? This is the brainwashing triangle, basically, about how they brainwash people's minds to get caught up into this triangular cycle of being the persecutor, playing the victim, and then being a rescuer. We see this, the persecutor, women take something, they go, oh, I didn't do it, boom, victim mentality. Then we go to the victim mentality to the rescuer, so that means they keep the victim dependent. It gives them permission to fail, expects to fail in rescue attempts. Basically, in other ways, this is knowing that they got caught and doing it just so they can get their ass out of trouble. This is your cycle here. This is your modern day woman's thinking. They play the persecutor. They can bounce back between being the rescuer and the persecutor and the victim and the rescuer. Female symbol, inverted triangle. This is it right here. This is your woman's mentality of thinking. And we see this again with modern day society. We see a lot of reinforcement between the victim and the persecutor in advertisements. Oh, it's like, oh, the girlfriend did something wrong. Oh, go buy her a pair of flowers and go do that. So now you're being the rescuer. Oh, well, then the girlfriend likes the flowers, cool. So she stays in the rescuer mentality. Or what we have is the woman plays the victim. And she goes, oh, I was abused, I was hurt, men are sexist, men are rapists, blah, 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 blah. This is the victim part of the triangle right here. And then from this point, they can either bounce back between having the mentality and the manipulation of being the rescuer or being the prosecutor. So basically, on either perspectives of this triangle and the psychology of modern day women today, they can play each one of these different sides of the triangle right here. So there you have it. That this is your modern day. This is your feminist woman's mentality. This is your modern day woman's mentality. Is that they play all of these different sides of the triangle. They play the victim. They are the persecutor, and then they can play being a rescuer, getting their ass out of trouble, basically. And this is the drama triangle. And then the purpose is to promote the life script, which in other words means to manipulate you in the way that they want you to live their life for them. The roles of the persecutor, rescuer, and the victim are portrayed in psychological games. What do women play? They play psychological games. Serves as a training ground for powerlessness, prevents psychological equality in relationships. This is your modern day woman's thinking right here. This is their modus operandi, is this drama triangle. And we know, why do you think that we always assimilate women with drama? Drama, women this and drama that. It's because this triangle is what they're playing. This is the game that they play. They play three sides of it. I can't tell you how many women that I've seen on the news or seen in movies or seen in life and experiences I've had with women. And it's so easy. Take this little triangle here and put it on your refrigerator or whatever and get to know it, because once you know this right here, you know your modern day woman's mentality. These are the three sides of the triangle they play. This is all the personality. They do shit, and then they play the victim, and then they do something nice to get out of it. Or they do something nice, and then they stab you in the back being the persecutor. Or let's say, for example, they play the victim so they can be the rescuer to get something out of it return, or they're the victim. They claim sexism, rapism. This is the whole feminist dynamic of the mentality and the way that they've been brainwashed or whatever to think. And this is their modus operandi. This is their mentality. So they can stab you in the back and then play the victim. Oh, I didn't do anything. Like we see these two right here, the persecutor and the victim, a lot in divorce court. Oh, here's the deal with victim. Oh, he hit me. He assaulted me, sexual assault. But meanwhile, they're the persecutor. You see how all these just bounce back and forth in every single way? This is it right here. This is your modern day woman's thinking. And so I just wanted to share this with you guys. I thought this was very interesting, and I think this really sums it up perfectly. And that's why they call it the drama triangle, because it's a triangular drama. It's what they do. And I'll just read this here too, 1 minute. The victim stance is poor me. The victim feels victimized, oppressed. How many times have we heard that word and women associated with it? Helpless, hopeless, powerless, ashamed. It seems unable to make decisions, solve problems, take pleasure in life, or achieve insight. You know, why do you think women can't learn anything? Because they're playing in a certain victim mindset. They're playing the victim mindset so that they can get away from being actually being the persecutor, and then they bounce back and forth, you see. The victim, if not being persecuted, will seek out a persecutor, and also the rescuer who will save the day but also perpetuate the victim's negative feelings. So it's a parasite. Basically, this is the parasite thinking. You know, we say women are parasites. This is the parasitic. What is the word for it? Parasitic? No, parasitic mentality that they feed off of is this energy of the three bouncing back and forth over and over and over again. So, the victim, if not being persecuted, will seek out a persecutor, also the rescue, who will save the day, but also perpetuate the victim's negative feelings. Number 2, the rescuer. The rescuer's line is to let me help you. A classic enabler, the rescuer feels guilty. Women try to make men feel guilty all the time if he or she does not go along to rescue. Yet his or her reassuring has negative effects. It keeps the victim dependent and gives the victim permission to fail. The reward derived, and what comes to mind with reward is sex. The reward derived from this rescue role are that the focus is taken off the rescuer when he or she focuses the energy on someone else. The enabler to them, it enables them to ignore their own anxiety and issues. The rescuer's role is also very pivotal because their actual primary interest is really an avoidance of their own problems disguised in concern for the victim's needs. And then number 3 would be the persecutor. The persecutor insists it's all your fault. The persecutor is controlling, blaming, critical, oppressive, angry, authoritative, rigid, and superior. Initially, the drama triangle arises when a person takes the role of the victim or the persecutor. The person then feels that the need to enlist other players into the conflict. We all see women bringing, girlfriends and other men to go and, get caught up in drama, in this drama triangle. As it often happens, the rescuer is encouraged to enter the situation. So, in other words, let's say, for example, a woman says, "Oh, that guy beat me," victim mentality. And so then a bunch of simps come along, rescuers, to help play both sides here. So you got the simps being the rescuers, victim, woman claims, "Oh, that guy hit me." Then you got the simps coming out being the rescuers, and then basically the victim can act as the persecutor. You see, this is modern day woman's thinking right here. I mean, this is really what it comes down to, guys. This is the parasitic manipulating psychological gameplay that is being used. This is the psychological gameplay that women are using against men. This is the diagram. This is the blueprint. This is the blueprint. Keep that in mind. It's right here. This is what it's about. Let's see here. These enlisted players take on. It's interesting how they use the word players. Take on their roles of their own that are not static, and therefore various scenarios can occur. For example, the victim might turn on the rescuer, and the rescuer then switches to persecuting. So in other words, let me just blow this up over here so I don't keep switching back and forth. In other words, basically what it's trying to say here says the victim might turn on the rescuer, and the rescuer switches to being persecuted. So the rescuer will be blamed by the victim for not helping out. Like, In other words, the woman claims, oh, that guy hit me, sexual assault, rape, whatever, go beat that guy up. The simps come along, being the rescuers. The victim then blames the rescuers for not doing exactly how the persecutor, which was the victim, she was playing all along, that the victim is and the rescuers are not doing exactly what the victim, being the persecutor, is really doing. You see how that works? That's why it's a triangle. It just goes back and forth, this way, and this way. I'll just read along a little more and then I'll shut up. It says here, the motivations for each participant and the reasons and the situations endures is that each gets their unspoken and frequent unconscious psychological wishes / needs met. Psychological wishes and needs, and women have needs, don't they? Bet they do, with this parasitic fucking mindset they have that I just found out. In a manner that they are justified, that they feel justified. There you go, right there. Without having the knowledge to border on dysfunction or harm done in the situation as a whole. As such, each participant is acting only on their selfish needs rather than acting in a genuine, responsible, altruistic manner. Thus, any character from all these three in the triangle might ordinarily come on like a plaintive victim. It is now clear that the one can switch into the role of the persecutor, providing that it is accidental and one apologizes for it. So that's where you get women. That's where you get guys who don't understand how this works. Where the persecutor will claim, the woman will claim that she did something, and then the guy feels like he has to be the rescuer and the victim, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it," and all that other shit. I mean, this is really what it comes down to right here. I'm gonna link this in the description below. And so that way you guys can you can read all this stuff yourself. There's a whole bunch of stuff on this stuff, but I wanted to bring this up because this is really what we're dealing with here. This is first of all, it's the female symbol, the woman being, this is the woman's manipulating psychological game blueprint that they base everything off of. So this can go a whole bunch of ways, and I won't get into all of them because I don't want to get into everything because it'd take me too long, but you can get the general idea of what I'm trying to explain to you. In other words, the persecutor can draw to, the woman can draw on blaming, she did the action, she persecuted, she did the action. Well, she can draw from many different areas, so she'll bring somebody into this manipulation game, which is what we see feminists do. They claim that men are sexist and rapists, so they act as the victim. And in return, they can play the victim, and then they search for a rescuer, but in reality, they're the persecutor. You see, and this goes on, and this is the manipulation game. That's why you can't reason with women. You can't, when you argue about, things. You just can't. It's because they're in this way of thinking. And what do we see with our society today? Nothing but reinforcing all of this. You have women being abused, and then you have a rescuer. Somebody comes to rescue, and then that teaches the woman that you can blame, because someone's coming into this drama triangle, they're now caught up in the 3-cycle game. So in other words, once the rescuer comes into the equation, she can blame, manipulate to get the rescuer to play the victim or the persecutor, and like I said, it just goes on and on and on. So there you have it.